Welcome to the Beard Speaks Podcast. Hey, all right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Beard Speaks Podcast. That is right, guys. We're back today, and I've got an awesome show for you. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been sharing the show, listening to the show. You guys are amazing. So a big shout out to everyone out there in Scottsdale, Arizona, Los Angeles, California, Knoxville, Tennessee. Got a little surprise for you guys today. Washington, Virginia, Ashburn, Virginia, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Park Ridge, Illinois. What's up, Park Ridge? Tacoma, Washington, Portage, Indiana, Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, New York. What's up, New York? Burbank, Illinois, Naperville, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Dallas, Texas, Evanston, Illinois, Miami, Florida, Tampa, Florida. What's up, Tampa? Brooklyn, New York. What's happening? Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Again, the home of Rocky Balboa. What's going on? Hey, Kansas City, Missouri, checking in. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Waterloo, Iowa. My friends out there in Waterloo always checking in on the Beard Speaks Podcast. Hey, guys, this list continues to grow. And I am just blessed that you guys are just checking out the show, sharing it, and getting more and more people involved. I love it. As far as countries that are checking in, this list blows me away every time I come back here and check my analytics, man. So obviously, besides the great United States of America, we have Singapore checking in, Russian Federation, France, United Kingdom, Israel, China, Spain, Japan, Germany, Canada, Sweden, Hong Kong, Mexico, Australia, Italy, India, South Korea, Bulgaria, South Africa, Oman, Ukraine, Nigeria, Jamaica, the Netherlands, Ireland, Brazil, Indonesia, Guatemala, Norway, the Dominican Republic. This list is just growing. Vietnam, United Arab, Ghana, Malta, Thailand, Romania, Switzerland, Philippines, Turkey, Greece, Poland, Costa Rica, Argentina, New Zealand, Denmark, Finland, Hungary. The list just goes. We're worldwide, baby. Hey, I love it. Thank you guys again. And where can you listen to the Beard Speaks Podcast? Well, I am glad you asked. We're everywhere, baby. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Overcast, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Good Pods, and True Fans. That's right, guys. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform. We are there. Just search for the Beard Speaks Podcast. Also, go to thebeardspeakspodcast.com so you can follow us on social media. We have links to all our social media there. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram, Threads, whatever the hell that is. We're there too. So, guys, go check us out and interact with us. We would love to hear from you. Send us an email at thebeardspeakspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you got a tip of who you want to hear on the show or a topic you want us to talk about on the show and dig into. Otherwise, again, check us out on online on our website. We've got blogs. We've got a lot of cool things on there, and our YouTube is popping with a lot of real cool content on there. So go check us out. Now, without further ado, for all my Tennessee fans out there, I have got Aaron Carter on my show today. Checked him out back last 4th of July. I was out in Knoxville, Tennessee, and got to see his show live. What a great performer, great music. So you guys will not be disappointed. Hang tight. Here's my interview with Aaron Carter. All right, guys, as promised, I have Aaron Carter from Knoxville, Tennessee with me today. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Not much. I'm excited to have you on the show. Guys, as I was talking about a little earlier, I saw you down in Tennessee, just this past summer. And you guys put on a killer show. And my buddy was playing guitar with you. And Man, I was like, I got to get this guy in the show, tell the story, man. So welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I know it's been a while. I think it was 4th of July.
Yeah.
When I met you at that big show that we played last year. So, but it's good. It's good to be on here, man. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, so I'm super excited about it.
Awesome. So I want to start off with just giving us your story, man. Like, because one of the big things of just being a musician myself, that's the key, right? It's the story behind what inspires you to, pick up the guitar, what inspires you to write music, and what gets you motivated to get up on stage. Because not everybody can do that, right? And I try to tell that to people. That's like, that is one of the biggest key to success, is just having that persona, getting up on stage and just like whatever, man, and just putting yourself out there, because it's almost like putting out your kid out into the world, right? And letting everybody see it, judge it for what it is. But what inspired you? So like, let's go all the way back to when you really got started.
Man. So, music's kind of always been in the family. I grew up in a real small church about the size of this man cave room I'm in. So not very big. And, a bunch of my family, led worship in those brimstone and fire churches, played the guitar. Yep. And, I was kind of always around it. I got my first guitar in middle school. It's kind of funny. My mom was really advocating for me to get the guitar. My dad was like, man, he's not going to play that guitar. He's not going to play that guitar. He's going to play it for a little bit and he's going to put it down.
Right.
And, I kind of just stuck with it. And, one thing went to the next, and I started, writing music in college, and really starting to pursue that journey. And the latter part of 2021 was when things really started going for me. And one of my good buddies that I met, Jeremy Neely, he's also a musician himself, and somebody who I wrote a lot of my songs with on my album. He hit me up and he was like, hey man, you should really think about cutting some of these songs. And I was like, I don't know if that's, really my forte, but, I ended up doing it. And then the second song that I released, which is also the name of my album, This Town, was the first one to get picked up on the radio. So I was super excited about that. And it's just been an uphill journey since then. One of the things I will say that you mentioned is, getting on stage, and it's not for everybody. Like that right there stood out to me because, I had stage fright super bad when I first started. Did you ever really like experience that?
Yeah, man. It's funny because I tell people I've been doing this since I was 16, 17 years old, and I still get stage fright every time I walk out there. Like one of the things I joke around with, but it happens to be true with a lot of musicians, I forget everything before I walk on stage. Every damn song I rehearsed, I forget how it goes until we just start kicking into it, which is the weirdest thing, man. But I forget. I don't know what it is.
It's like those pre-show nerves.
Yep. Yeah.
I think everybody gets them.
I think so. I don't think anyone's perfect. I mean, music is, in my point of view, it's all about emotion and feeling, right? It's not perfect, right? That's why I always say it's like, putting your kids out there, and letting the world see all your imperfections, right? And what's inside of you. Because,
exactly.
Yeah. And so every time I get out there, I get a little nervous, or I just completely blank out until the intro starts, and then boom, I'm there. But that's nice, man, to get you once you hear your song on the radio. I think that's like a bright spot, right? It's a pretty awesome moment.
Yeah, it was really exciting, and especially for me, I hadn't played that many shows. I had a fishing kayak, and I hated to sell it, but I sold my fishing kayak to buy my first set of Behringer PA speakers. Okay. And, I was playing in these like super small bars, and I probably hadn't played maybe, 4 or 5 shows. And then that's when I released This Town. And then I got a call from the local radio station in North Carolina. And they were like, hey, we love your song. Do you want to come to the studio, do an interview? You want to pick it up? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
So
that's really cool. So what inspired you to start writing? I mean, you said a little bit about, you played in church. Did that inspire you to write your own stuff?
Not really. I think what really got me into like the actual writing aspect of music was, especially men, we all try to find our escapes and our way out of these things that's going on in life. And for me, I kept trying different things, looking for different things. And the thing that really worked for me was being able to write down like my thoughts onto a piece of paper and then put music behind it. Because, when I write music, I don't just write stuff to write stuff. I write stuff that hopefully tells a story, and at least some people can relate to what these songs talk about.
Sure. Yeah. It's always like, for me, it's always just telling a story, but it's something that means it means something to me, but it can mean something different to someone else. Everyone, picks up a song just like you hear something on the radio and you're like, ah, man. And it either brings you back to a certain time, right? Music is like time traveling, right? It can either bring you back to a certain time where you can think, this reminds me of, XYZ, but then the artist is actually like, wow, I was writing about this. So that's pretty cool though.
That's fun.
Yep.
I always enjoy, like going online sometimes, especially if I hear a song and I'm like, God, what does that mean? So I kind of like, try to understand what they're actually talking about, but yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. So what about your music? Do you think that, because this is like something I people ask me all the time, it's like, what about the music that you're writing? Do you set out to actually say, man, I want it to sound like this, or do you just write and say, hey, man, whatever comes out of me comes out of me?
No, so that's actually a great question. I don't think I've ever had somebody ask me that question. I think for me, I guess to start answering this question is, I don't sit down to write. I don't like set a scheduled time to sit down and write, because I feel like if you're like, all right, well, I'm going to allot this amount of time per day to like write, you just kind of throw something together that is like, it's okay. But when you get what I call is the writing bug, that's when you write your best music. So a lot of times, like, I'll start out with, like, in my head, I'll hear the song.
Right.
Like, I'll already hear the entire song and I know what I want it to sound like. So I'll write around that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. A lot of people ask me that, and I never sit down and say, well, I'm going to write a song that sounds like this, or I'm going to write a song that sounds like that. Yeah. I think that's kind of hard to do. It is actually an art form, right? And like you said, you write your best stuff when it just comes to you. When you can hear it, and then you just start writing. I think the process, for me at least, it's the same way. It has to come from somewhere, because if I sit down and actually plan on writing things, I never get anything done. Or actually, it sounds forced, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like, there's a lot of times that, I'll have like a melody or like a lyric come in my head, or some kind of line. And, I'll start to work on it and I just get stumped and can't go anywhere. And then like 3 months later, I'll be writing a different song and I'll be like, oh, wait a second. I wrote this, like, let me flip back in my pages here. I remember writing this 3 months ago. This is going to go perfect for this.
And that'll fit, right? So is the genre like that you write in, when you're writing country, or is... Like, one of the things I love to do is I listen to a lot of different types of music and incorporate it in what I'm writing. That's why I say, when I write, I don't write to stick in a certain genre. I just write whatever comes out. What's like some of your favorite music that you listen to that actually influences what you write?
Well, I mean, I have a really kind of like you, I got a really like wide genre that I listen to, but I've got it kind of narrowed down. I mean, I'm a country singer, and that's who I am through and through.
Sure.
It's who, born and raised. And so it's the genre that I relate to the most. But, there's a lot of stuff like, I could listen to like Frank Sinatra, or I listen to some of these like modern pop bands.
Yeah.
And like, I think I heard I can't believe this is my first time like really hearing them.
Right.
Main Skin or whatever they're called. I think they're main Skin out of like the UK. I was like, I heard one of their songs and I was like, wow, I really dig this. So I've been starting to like dig into them because it's got Tom Morelli on there playing guitar and stuff. So, but in general, you know, I get a lot of my ideas and thoughts from just listening to other country music, whether it be like old Hank Williams or Waylon or Willie, or whether it's Morgan Wallen or Hardy. And Ernest is one of my favorite writers. Him and Hardy, they're killer writers and killer musicians. So
when you write when you're writing your music and you're listening to different types of music, what influences carry over into the music that you write?
Well, that's actually a really interesting question. I've had people ask similar questions, but not that exact one. So, you know, obviously as a musician, our ultimate goal is to do what we love full time, and to do that full time, I hate that it's this way, but it's just the way it is. In my opinion, anyways, is that you have to stay on track with what's popular. Yeah. Right. So, and unfortunately, I mean, like you can do all, you know, go do your own thing, but in reality, to hit that mainstream level, you have to write the way people, what they listen to. And so I have to kind of adjust to the people that I'm playing to. For that reason, but I still can take my thoughts and melodies and put those in a way to where people are like, okay, I can vibe with this. This is what I listen to every day, you know? So
yeah, that's, you know, that it does suck, you know, that sometimes, especially if you want to have a song take off or whatever, there's almost like, man, do I have to follow this formula, or can I just write music that I love, that I want to listen to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I find that to be one of the stumbling blocks for me when I'm writing, is because I try not to do that at all, you know. But then again, you know, it's harder to sit down and write something, like I said earlier, like you want it to sound like a certain song or a certain genre. It's easier to just sit back and, you know, with your guitar and just start strumming, and then you got a story you want to tell and just write your own song.
Yeah, no, that is, yeah. I mean, but like in the big picture of things, like, you know, I've like really like kind of thought deep into this, and you know, when you look at, and I'm just going to use country music for example. You know, you go back to Hank Williams Sr., right? Mm-hmm. And then you start moving it with the decades and stuff like, it's like you can just see that change, but you also see like the musicians change with it. Yeah. And it is just crazy to me, like where we're at in music in 2025 in comparison to where we were in the 40s, you know, it's a real cool thing to think about. And so, you know, yeah,
it's a natural evolution, right? And I think a lot of it is technology moves along and different gear, right? You know, and different, you know, sounds and things like that. It's a big change. But do you like that more modern country sound, or do you really like to stick with that classic outlaw country? You know, I know there's a market for everything, right? I mean, there is, but for you, like, to be honest, like if you're gonna get up there and play a whole set, what makes your heart like, yeah, man, this is my jam, this is what I want to play?
So I think the thing for me is like I try to take a combination of all of that. So like, for example, when we play modern day Bonnie and Clyde or Family Tradition, like we add our own spin to it. Sure. And so like I think that's the kind of the thing that really like makes or breaks somebody, is whether, you know, if they're able to like make something unique that make it their own. And I think that really helps. And you know, especially when performing live, you get it, man. Like you have to like play to the crowd. You do. And so like, you know, if you're in a bar that, you know, they're like, man, these people are not listening to Thomas Rhett or Morgan Wallen, then you have to adjust your set to be like, okay, I know that if I start playing a beer drinking song, Hank Williams, then everybody's going to be like, yeah, let's do it. You know? Right. Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's true. You have to read the room. I know nowadays, like I said, there's so much, you know, like you mentioned, how everything has evolved and country has become basically
a clone, or rock and roll has become like a clone of country and rock and pop, and it's all together. I think a lot of that had to do with Mutt Lange and Shania Twain, obviously, because once he married her, he got his hands in the country. That's when you started to hear all that rock, and the guitar really came in heavily into country music.
Yeah.
That was a big change right there, and I think a lot of Nashville is like that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
And I hear a lot of country artists kind of dogging on Nashville now. What are your feelings on that?
Man, dude, like I said earlier, Hardy is one of my favorite songwriters, favorite musicians, and whenever he went from that bro country to his Mockingbird and the Crow album, will that just like smack you in the face rock country. I loved it. I love it. And I think it's a great thing that's added to that, especially in country music.
I dig it. Like I said, when I started playing some country, I was very excited to bring in my own guitar voice to it, because to me, I listen to it and go, oh man, I can hear this here or this here. And I can, and it sounds pretty cool. And especially, let's face it, man, especially in this day and age that we're in now, country music is really patriotic.
It's not as patriotic as it used to be, but it's definitely more patriotic than I would say most genres are.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, it's kind of at the heart of it, right? But you're right. It's more of the older stuff, really is.
Yeah.
So as far as when you go out and play live, what type of, I like to get into gear stuff too. What kind of gear do you really like to take out with you?
So I got a Taylor guitar. I love that guitar. It's like my first big boy purchase.
Yeah.
And as far as I run Sennheiser in-ears, Sennheiser mic. And then I have a Shure. I finally got my first wireless guitar system.
Nice.
It is a Shure, and I absolutely love it. Love it so much. I'm able to move around.
Now you can move around on stage, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
More playing up to the crowd.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And we actually just upgraded our sound system. So we got 2 K12 KSCs, and we got 2 JBL 18-inch subs.
Oh, nice.
On our QSC Touch Mix 16. So we've came a long way last year.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, the gear is the hardest part, right? Getting it all together when you start getting that sound live, especially when you're going out to play, and depending on the different clubs and the outdoor stuff is cool though. That's like where I saw you guys outdoor was awesome, and that was that place had a good sound.
Shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be as loud as you want outside.
Exactly. That hill was a oh man, that thing was massive too. Climbing up and down that damn hill over there. But still, man, it made for a really good show. No, that's awesome, dude. So what do you guys have in mind for this summer? You guys having any good ideas about traveling or getting shows more outside of Tennessee?
Yeah, my manager's working on getting some more shows booked outside Tennessee. I'll be honest with you, man. This year's been pretty rough for booking for a bunch of musicians that I've talked to. They've just been having trouble getting booked at venues they normally play at. So it's kind of the struggle bus right now, I feel, for a lot of musicians, at least around here. I don't know how it is up there, but
I know I got you guys. I got some people working on getting you guys here to Chicago. I think you guys will have a lot of fun out here because country is pretty hot out here in the city. So I'm hoping that comes through. But I think ever since COVID, there's been a lot of changes in the music scene all over, and a lot of musicians I talk to have said the same thing. I mean, bar owners and clubs just don't want to pay what they used to pay, and and I get it, they got to make money too, but at the end of the day, I always tell people all the time, I'll play for free, but you got to pay me to carry all my shit. I mean, I'm not carrying all this stuff for nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cause I think that's the hardest part, but people don't see how much work musicians put into, the years of practice and the writing and the rehearsals and everything like that. They just see, oh yeah, dance for me, monkey. You know what I mean? Yeah. Come play my bar and, I'll give you a couple $100, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they see us for 3 hours and they're like, cool.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, exactly.
They showed up and left.
Yeah, no, it's it's why the music business, that part of it, I'm just not a big fan of. I've never have been, and like I said, I've been doing it for so many years, and it kind of eats you up and spits you out if you don't pay attention. So, but
it gets kind of discouraging too every once in a while. I mean,
it does,
especially if somebody who's really trying to do something with it,
right?
Just getting turned down for they'd rather have, instead of having us for 3 hours for $800, they would rather have not crapping on anybody, but somebody a lot worse.
Yeah, no, right, yeah.
And so, I mean,
well, they really, they to them, it's about the money, and they're just trying to, pretty much get what they can to fill the time and just to fill some seats. And I mean, at the end of the day, these guys just want to sell beer. I mean, and alcohol. I mean, I get it, right? It is what it is, but you really have to look at the quality of the band and what they're bringing to the table, right? So a lot of club owners just don't care, and it's sad. It's been like that for, like I said, since COVID. It's been worse, and it's been like that up here too. Yeah. Everyone I talk to says the same thing. So yeah, but so anyway, other than dogging on club owners, sorry, club owners, get a little bit better out there, man. Shit. We're all trying to make a living, and we're all trying to have a good time. But man, you got to pay musicians a little bit better for sure. I love the old adage where they'd come out and say, "Oh man, you could play for exposure." Yeah, I don't think so. I don't need your exposure.
Yeah, well, I mean, like sometimes, I mean, there's been several shows that I've been like, you know what, I'll take a pay cut because I know there's going to be a lot of people here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get picked up and you're playing a huge festival or something like that, it makes sense at some point. But you can't just give it away for every single show. I mean, one of the smartest things I've ever heard, guy I know that's been a very successful cover band just said, I don't look at what I'm making per show. I'm looking at what I make every month. Because they play so much. Yeah. So they just kind of look at, okay, we're making, as long as I make X amount every month to make the band work and, make sure that we get money for recording and whatever it is that they're going to do. Cause that's how, basically how we used to do it is just, I need to make X amount every month. And this way we could get t-shirts and, try to make sure that, we can get gear and stuff like that with the money that we're making playing out and things like that. And if you're going to travel, that's got to cost too.
Yeah, of course.
So, but awesome, man. So what kind of new stuff are you guys working on? Some new music now?
Yeah. So, with the album we put out, it was a 24-track album, and that's doing really well. And I released another single, I think in October, but I've got an EP in the studio right now.
Nice.
We're working on, and I'm super excited about that. It's got some really good tunes on it. Probably one of my best songs that I've written is going to be on that.
Cool.
And, super excited about that, so.
And everybody can just go to AaronCarterMusic.com, right? And you got all your links are there. You got Spotify, Apple, or what the hell are they called now? Apple Music? It's not even iTunes anymore, right?
Yeah. No, it's Apple Music.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, go to AaronCarterMusic.com and click on the Listen Now link, and you've got links to all, there's YouTube, Spotify, Deezer, SoundCloud, Pandora. You guys are on a ton of stuff, which is awesome. So you guys can go out there and check it out. So the recording process, how do you go about that? Everyone's got like their own story of how they like to go into the studio and record.
So this is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
So I actually have a big, massive sound booth.
Okay.
In this man cave with me. Right.
Nice.
And it cost me like $500 to build. I got a custom mic from Lithuania in there that I record on. But my producer has been my producer since I started releasing music.
Okay.
His name's Tom Auden, and he lives in Cardiff, Wales. So he actually, all of the music is recorded in the UK, and then I track it from the US.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We sit down, we have a lot of Zoom calls, video calls about the production process, kind of like what my vision is, and we go back and forth on backing tracks and then what I like, what I don't like, and eventually we get it nailed down. But it's a super easy process for me, and I'm hoping at some point to start using my actual band.
Right.
But my band is really good with whatever we put together for the song. They learn it, pick it up real quick, and so that I'm really, really thankful and appreciative for that. But it's not a super extensive process. But I did go to Nashville 2 years ago, and I recorded on a track called "Good Judge of Bad Women," and love that song. I actually recorded it with Jeremy Neely.
Nice.
And but it was my first time in a Nashville studio, and it is a tremendous. I would rather go to an actual studio, but I'm just saving money doing it this way.
Sure.
And the quality is just as good.
Yep.
But I had so much fun in the actual studio. There's nothing like actually going to a studio and just having somebody there mix everything live in front of you. It's real cool. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a whole different animal, right, than playing live. But that's cool because a lot of musicians are doing it nowadays. I just released my album back in December, and I did it the same way. All the musicians I worked with were all over the world, and I'm like, hey, here's my ideas, here's what I've got down, and we just flew tracks back and forth, and everything just went into Pro Tools, and everybody recorded on their own time, and we never were in a room together ever. But it just seems like that's just the way people are doing it now.
Yeah, and for me, that just kind of adds the camaraderie with music, and it's really cool because music is a great way to meet people from all over the world, and it's just like in your instance, it's just really cool to have bits from whatever country this person's in this country, and it's just cool to know that all of this came together internationally. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. And like I said, I've seen a lot of bands doing it now. A lot of the famous bands are doing it, where different musicians are getting together from different bands that have never played together before. They're writing some music, and it's like they've never even met in a studio. Everything's just done online,
right?
Which is kind of crazy. And I think that's another thing that COVID really changed the whole work, scope of how things are done with the internet, even though if your internet sucks, but but it does change a lot, and I think people have done just an amazing job with that. So no, that's really cool, man. And that's how you got to bang out 20 something songs, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, it wasn't something that we just threw together in a couple of weeks. It probably took us well over a year and a half to get that whole album together, and it definitely wasn't cheap.
No.
But that was part of it, was getting the finances together for it.
Yeah.
But it makes it a little bit easier being able to do stuff from home as opposed to, having to drive to the studio. But yeah, it made the process a lot easier, I'd say. So
I believe so too. Yeah. I've done, several albums in an actual studio where it takes, and it all takes, a little time and getting the money. We would play shows, save up some money, go back in the studio, play some more shows, save up some money, go back into the studio, and and try to get all that done. And it does take time. But yeah, doing it at home is a little bit easier, and being able to have everything with you that you need. It's cool that you built everything out, right there, just so you can have a nice soundproof room to go in there and play. Do you record your demos and stuff in there too?
It's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it's kind of just me and my producer have such a good relationship. And sometimes I'll just throw a voice memo together from my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll say, hey man, here's what I'm thinking. And then we'll get together over Zoom and we'll, work on some things to kind of solidify it more. But no, not really. I don't really ever, I just kind of, pitching my idea raw.
Okay.
And then we sit down and really like delve into the process of building it and making it what I want it to be.
That's cool, actually. I mean, so the songs really just come naturally, and then this way it's just a simple process.
Yeah, it's just, the longest part about it is building it and solidifying what it needs to be,
right?
And what I'm hearing, and sometimes it's difficult because I'll be like, man, like this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm like, I'm not hearing it. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said before, it's your it's your baby, right? So you want your songs to sound a certain way and have that certain sound, but it's hard to communicate it sometimes. And like, I'm not a drummer, and when I try to explain to a drummer what I'm hearing, it's like it must come out insane to them. But it's like, no, listen to my insanity, man. This is what I'm trying to talk about. This is what I'm like looking for. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. This way, man. Yeah. But I mean, it all comes together pretty cool. So, I mean, that's good. And it's cool that you got the band together that actually is able to pick up on everything as it's all done, and you guys can get out and play it live, and they don't miss a beat. It's always good to find, the right musicians. I mean, I think that's one of the key of putting something together like that, because I tell people all the time, having a band, it's like it's having like 4 or 5 wives in in a room together, man.
Right. Yeah, it could definitely be pretty stressful sometimes. But I will say this, I will never forget the first time that I played a full band show with these group of guys that I'm playing with now, and hearing like I played acoustic shows, mini acoustic shows, played my own music live, but hearing like my music live in like coming to fruition and like hearing them playing it the way it sounds on the track, it's just a beautiful thing that I will never be. There will be nothing that ever tops that for me, because it's just it's amazing. It's like, wow, like this is what I did and what we're doing. Right, it's coming together live. It's just really awesome. Yeah,
that's an awesome feeling. It's hard to explain to anyone that's not a musician and gets up there and plays live. Right. I mean, I think that's one of the aha moments you have when you get out there, and it's like, holy crap, man, here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you can't put a word on it, right? And it just because you just gotta be able to feel it, and unless you're like me and you and other musicians, they just nobody will actually understand it,
right? Yeah. So when you were looking for the right musicians, how did that process go? Did you just kind of put out an ad out there and start, or were they in other bands and you stole them? Was it?
Absolutely horrible. All right. I met some guys, I threw out a Facebook ad like, hey, right, I'm a country singer and trying to get a band together. Here's my, portfolio. This is everything that I've released. This is all the streams that I've got. And, I went through a process. So the drummer that I have now, he was actually the first drummer that I met the night that I got with the guys, a different set of guys. But Michael, he was there the night, and I met up with a couple other guys, and, we were just messing around, and I was like, yeah, this is going to work out. And it just didn't work out with those people. And then, Mike stuck around, of course, but it was awful, man. It was a really awful process. And, I met Patrick, and Patrick's really introduced me to other people, and then Mike slowly introduced me to people that he's met and he's known and all this stuff. So then, we went through a couple of bass players and guitar players, and of course Mike was out with a surgery, so we had to a fill-in drummer. Right. But the process for getting a band is not easy. It's not. And I'm very picky, kinda, about who I play with, because like for me, it's like I don't want to play with somebody who's not like on the same like mindset as me and have the same ideas because it just causes conflict, and that's just not something you want.
No, you don't, man. You want it to be harmonious.
Exactly.
I mean, you do,
Although
right?
It's not always.
No, yeah, that's my comment about being in a room with like 4 or 5 other 4 wives, because it does. I mean, like I said, you stick guys in a room together for a long period of time, and you're jamming out tunes and trying to get everything right, at least the performance level. It does get a little frustrating, but yeah, the process of looking for the right people, you have to find those guys that are on the same page, that want to bring your vision to life, right? I mean, that's the hardest thing to convey, but you have to do it.
Well, I'll say this: we have come a very long way.
Yeah.
I look back to where we first started, and we probably looked incompetent together our first several shows.
Oh, sure.
Just because we were all still trying to get our shit together and figure it out. And
right.
Just looking at the growth that we've had and how tight we've got as a band and as a friends group, it's really made things a lot easier as far as picking up songs, learning new songs.
Sure.
Especially stuff that's unreleased that we play that there's actually no track for them to follow. We just come up with something, and they're like, whenever the song's together, we'll play that.
Right.
But it wasn't too bad. I mean, everybody seemed to be on the same page, and everybody still is on the same page, and they believe in what I'm doing, and that's why these guys devote countless hours to travel around and rehearse and all this stuff with me, because they believe in it. They believe in me, and I believe in them, and I think we got a great team together. So
yeah, definitely. So some other off topic, I always like to ask people, like, when not being involved in music, like, what are some of the things you do to kind of kick back and kind of pull yourself away from the music, just to give yourself a break?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fisherman, so
nice.
I spend a lot of my time on the lake in the summer.
All right.
I love golf. I actually just went golfing yesterday.
Okay.
I'm an Xbox guy. I play VR.
Okay.
Hang out with my friends, and but in general, I mean, that's my life's pretty boring for the most part.
That's how it is. I know that's how it is for everybody. Yeah. I used to laugh because, like, when I would play, and you meet people out there, and they think like this is all you do, but that's like, no, surprise. Like, I just sit around and play golf or read, and I'm a pretty boring guy, man. That's just like, you go on stage, it's a whole different persona, right? You know what I mean? It kind of really is. You put on you're putting on this I don't know, you want to call it like new suit of personality, to get up on stage and be someone different to perform, right?
Yeah. Well, for me though, is I'm the same person off stage as I am on stage.
Yeah.
Like me, and that's the thing. That's kind of, when I started performing live and stuff like that, I was like, I got to find my identity.
Yeah.
But I realized that my identity was just me.
Yeah.
I've always been the same way. I'm the same good old boy that's off stage as he is on stage. And I want people to be like, this guy's real. He's not trying to put on a face, and then as soon as you get on stage with a smile and you leave with a frown, like I don't want that kind of mentality toward, I want people to see me for who I am, and I think that for me really represents my music, because what they hear in my music and what they see in my life is who they see on stage.
That's cool. Yeah, no, for sure, man. I think that's a good advice for people out there that are either starting out or just getting up on stage and trying to put on a different persona. But yeah, it's nice to be able to be friendly, with your fans and things like that. They're the ones at the end of the day that are paying you, right? They come out and you can't you're not going to be anything without them.
Yeah, I mean, like, like that's the biggest thing. And man, I don't know about you, but I hate this question. Or it's more or less a statement. A lot of people are like, oh, when you get big, don't forget about me. I hate that. And I hate it so bad. And the reason for that is, like you said, your fans are everything, right?
Right.
But, for me, the fans are what got me on the radio.
Right.
The fans are what got me an award at the Opry. The fans are what's got me where I am in my career.
Sure.
And that's a real, like, how can you forget about these people that got you to where you are? Because like you said, you couldn't be here without them.
Nope.
You know, so that's a big thing that I emphasize is, you know, everybody that I've met along the way. Yeah. There's been some great ones. There's been some bad ones, but ultimately, like, each person that you meet has their own story and they have their own connection to you and your music. And whether it's one song they stream over and over again, or if they listen to all your music over and over again,
right.
even if they listen to your song once a month, but they come out to every one of your shows.
Yeah.
And that's just that's the great thing, you know?
Yeah. Do you find that you start to notice the same faces and then bringing more people out to different shows?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So, you know, just starting from my first shows.
Yeah.
I met some people in North Carolina who was their first time ever seeing me, meeting me, and then they started coming out to every show. They actually come to a couple of Tennessee shows. But yeah, I mean, it's really awesome to see those same faces. And I mean, you know, Morgan Wallen's a great example.
Sure.
He was on a podcast, and he actually talked about how there was this one guy that would come to his show every single night. Well, he played his first like arena show or a big show, and guess who was in the front row? Like that same dude that was at that rinky dink bar,
right,
was the dude in the front row. And so it's like, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is really awesome to me, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best, like, again, besides writing your music and putting it out there and listening to it for the first time live, I think watching people react to what you wrote, what came from you, that's an awesome feeling, man.
And especially when they request it.
Yeah.
When they request one of your originals, that is just
Yeah.
like, man. And sometimes, like, people will request songs and I'm like, God, I don't even know if I know how to play that. Like,
Right.
It's been so long. Nobody's ever, you know, it's not something we put in our set list.
Yep,
you know?
yep. No, but that's a good feeling, man. I know, because we get caught up in, and that's a whole nother topic, man, you know, cover songs, right? I mean, that's, you know, I don't mind, you know, and I love playing covers, and I know I used to do it strategically. Like, I would pick a couple different covers to play in my set and things like that, because people want to hear them, right? It don't matter where you go. It's there. But how is the music scene down there right now with covers and are cover bands taking over more than original music? How's that really looking for you guys?
It is a lot of cover bands.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because there's a lot of cover bands, getting back to kind of what you said, is it kind of puts a limit on how much originals we can do.
Sure.
I've gotten to the point to where I've started slowly forcing originals out more into the set. But, you know, we try to do, you know, we'll say one original and then we'll do two covers.
Okay.
One original, two covers. And so we usually try to balance that out. And then, like, later in the set, we'll do like back-to-back originals and then like one or two. Like, so as the night goes on and as the drunker people get,
yep,
like, I start putting more of my stuff heavily in there, just because, like, I want these drunk people don't care.
No,
right? They're just here for the music to have a good time.
Right.
But if I like start throwing in my original music, they might remember, oh, they, you know, wow, I remember hearing this song,
Sure,
but I don't remember where, you know. So it's kind of a combination of both. But yeah, cover bands are kind of a stickler in the industry, especially like for it, you know, going against local musicians. And that's kind of like a big pitch, because, you know, cover bands bring more, I mean, in my opinion, they bring more crowds than original bands do.
Yep,
right?
They
do. It sucks.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
All these people are going out to hear songs that are by other bands, and they don't, it's almost like people don't value, like you said, the time and everything that comes into being an original artist, you know?
Yeah. It sucks, man. And I know, you know, I'll get hung for this, but it's like that here in Chicago too, man. I remember a time where we would go out and play it, and it was strictly, you know, original music. And we would play one or two cover tunes in our set. We would open with a cover tune, and then we would close with a cover tune. And then it got even better to the point where we were playing so much that we would open with one of our original tunes, and maybe throw a cover tune second or third, but we'd only play maybe 2 cover tunes in our set. But then as time went on, like you said, it's like the next thing you know, it's like you're forcing your originals and you're like, come on, man, this is what we're an original band. And then I don't know about by you guys, but what really started pissing me off is, national acts are coming through town and you're going, oh, dude, man, I want to open for them. But they pick a freaking cover band to open for them. And you're like, what is the, what?
Yeah. And like people, like you said, people don't like, I guess my question for you is, because this is kind of what's going through my head.
Sure.
At what point do original bands top cover bands? Like at what point because you really think about it, it's like, what level do you have to be for people to be like, okay, you're worth more than this cover band?
Yeah. I that's a good question, man. I don't know. I don't think these, the club owners or the bar owners really see it that way. I mean, they're trying to sell alcohol at the end of the day, right? I mean, that's just really what it is. Now, I used to put together every year, I used to put together a Toys for Tots benefit. I had the Marines, I had the Chicago Blackhawks, the Chicago White Sox, I had Miller. So I had them all sponsor the show. And I started small, where it was just a bunch of original bands in Chicago, and we did the show and we collected toys, and I raised money for Toys for Tots. And by the 3rd year, I started getting national bands to come on board.
Wow.
And that, it was awesome, right? So the last year I did it, I mean, one year we had Lita Ford, and then we had Firehouse, and it was awesome because, when I was working with the booking agents and the club owners, and I've been doing it in Chicago since, I'm 53, going to be 54 years old. I've been doing this shit since I was 16 in the city, right? So I've known, I've been working with these booking agents for a long time. So when I pitched my idea, it went over pretty well. And then the reason why I was able to get the major bands is because I became friends with Bill Leverty, who was the guitar player for Firehouse, and I figured, I'm just going to try it, man. So I shot him a message on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, man, this is what I've been doing, and I'd love to have you guys come out. And they really reduced their rate. And some of them were like, hey, man, like one of the guys lives in Milwaukee. So he's like, I'll drive there so we don't have to cost, of airfare. And so we made it work. And, I think by the time you start to get your band into that level where you start playing with, some national big names, I think the club owners and the booking agents will start seeing you in a different light. Otherwise, you're just another band that came out of nowhere that, they really don't care about. And it's, like I said, it's all about cover songs, and I don't know. That's a rough situation.
Yeah. But I feel like, though, like kind of going off what you're saying is, obviously it took you a couple of years to get to that point to, reaching out to them. But like, do you think that, like, as an original band yourself, that people who are like on a higher level than you, like, for example, like them,
sure,
like, do you think that it's harder for like the process to get them to hate, like, just to hear you out? Like, what is, at what point is it like, no, or, we don't really want to do this because we're too big for this, or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it really is just getting your music out there. And that's one of the hardest things to hear, because it's all about getting your music out there and making it pop and letting the right person's got to hear it. I just released my new album back in December, and unless I'm on Facebook constantly or on Twitter or wherever pushing my music out, I can see the analytics going up and down. The day I take off and I'm like, okay, I'm tired today, I'm not going to be, making 100 posts today. I can tell there's a dip, and it's like,
oh yeah,
what does it take, man? You know what I mean?
Well, the one thing that I found, and this kind of goes to everybody who's listening that's a musician, is consistency.
Yeah.
And the thing that's helped me get playlisted on, because I've been on several big Spotify playlists, and I think Apple Music might have put me on one, and Amazon, is consistency. And, I've not, I have this thing where I tried, like when I released my singles, I was releasing a new single every like 8 weeks.
Okay.
But since I put out my album, I've kind of, I had my album in February, then I didn't release another song until, October of last year. So, just kind of consistency is real big for these streaming services, because once you get like on a playlist like that, you can kind of dial back and start preparing for your next one.
Sure. Yeah. There's a method to it. I mean, I think that, I found that going on Facebook and finding these, Spotify playlists, people are putting them together. You're just throwing your music out there, and then they start adding you to the playlist, and it just starts to build. So there's a method to it.
Of course.
Yeah. But, man, we're almost hitting that time, but, I'd like to, before we end off, man, some good, horror stories about playing live. One of my favorite ones I like to tell people is, so I remember one time I was younger. I was a youngin'. I was somewhere in my 20s, man. And I remember we were playing this club, and I dreaded when they shut the lights off and you just can't see shit. I'm holding on to my guitar or whatever, and I was supposed to start the show with the guitar opening riff of the song, and I go running up to the front of the stage, and there was a gap between the monitors on the ground, and I fell one leg in between. My guitar up here, oh dude, and the lights come on, so it went from black to hearing this thump, and here I am on the ground holding my guitar with one leg through the stage. Oh my, that was a horror story, but we had to keep playing, man. Yeah. You have any funny horror stories?
Yeah. So, I don't know if we're gonna call it a horror story, but, so the first time we played Old Red Gatlinburg.
Yep.
Man, we were all like nervous, and we were having issues with our ears, getting our ears set up, and all that stuff. And, we started our first song out, like, I think it was, Long Haired Country Boy or something like that.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the mic, and they're like playing, Patty's looking at me. I just forgot the words, dude.
Oh,
and so,
dude, yeah.
And so like, they're just like playing, and I'm just like, how like you kind of like act like it's supposed to be happening, but inside you're like, oh, man, like, oh no.
Yeah.
So eventually I just caught on to the words, and then, we powered through it.
Yeah.
And like middle of that first song, I messed up again. Like I ended up like re-singing like the verse or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. But I think like the nerves just really like, and as soon as, we finished up our show, we were like, man, it's like, they ain't gonna have us back.
Yeah. I think sometimes,
no way.
Yeah. I think sometimes how bad it is, it's, I think only you notice it. I've done it before. I think my kryptonite was Chattahoochee. Every time we played that damn song, and I'd always goof up that riff somehow, and it's just the same all the way through the damn song, and I'm just like, come on, dude, get it right. But I think you notice it more than anybody else does. Yeah.
But I think you're like, man, it's like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, they know I'm messing up.
Right.
They know. I know they know that I know that I'm messing up.
Yeah. It feels like it's a spotlight on you for sure, man. Like they can see it, and you're like, oh, dude, man, that's it. See, that's why it's good to play originals. They never know when you screwed up. Right? It's an original. Exactly. Yeah, that's supposed to be there, bro.
Listen to your musical album.
That's true too, man. Yeah. But also, man, it's been awesome having you on the show. We got to do this again for sure. But before we bail, what do you guys want to plug? This show will probably air on Friday, which will be what? Today's March 5th, so it'll probably air on the 6th or the 7th, which is Friday. So anything you guys want to plug before we let you go?
Yeah, of course we got a bunch of shows coming up.
Nice.
EricCarterMusic.com has all of the events for that. So if you guys are in East Tennessee or surrounding areas, come out to a show. I'm going to be playing in the Ice Bears Arena on March 14th. Super excited about that, and doing my first radio interview on 100.3 The Wolf in Knoxville next Wednesday. So that's really exciting. And I don't know if Patty told you. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not. Patty, if I'm not supposed to, forgive me. So we're working on a hair product called Mullet Magic. And that's something me and him's been putting together, and I'm super excited about that. It's like a sea salt spray, so full of all the vitamins and minerals and all that stuff your hair needs. So I'm super excited about that. So
very cool.
Check out that and follow that, the Big Barber, Knoxville. So
he's my man. That's where I get my haircut. He jokes around. He goes, "This guy comes all the way from Chicago."
Yeah, that's what he was telling me. I was like, well, when he first told me, I was like, gosh, he drives all the way from Chicago. He's like, yeah, okay, all right, man.
Well, he told you the story how I met him, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't just go there for a haircut.
Yeah.
But we've become friends since then, so it's awesome.
Yeah. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude.
He really is a good guy, man. So awesome, brother. So you hang on the line, and everybody else, we will be back.
Us a month to get back together, throw down and sling some mud, and I rode trucks with my boys from way back home. We're still ripping lips, sitting in the stands, bonfires of cold ones in our hands. That's us. That's what we do. We're in the backwoods, on some back roads, getting lost. We still know where we wanna go, and how to get there. Well, yeah, it ain't the beach, it's not a Mexico. It's me and some boys on these back roads, raising hell and taking our time. A Chevrolet vacation. A Chevrolet vacation. Five's been wearing us down. When that paycheck comes around, I'm broke. Well, that's how it is. Yeah, and I'll come home at 2:30, drunk as hell, getting over you 'cause you're gone. Well, yeah, but so am I, yeah. We're in the backwoods, on some back roads, getting lost, but we still know where we wanna go, and how to get there. Well, yeah, no, it ain't the beach, it's not a Mexico. It's me and some boys on these back roads, raising hell and taking our time. A Chevrolet vacation. A Chevrolet vacation. Small town I'm coming from. It might be a Friday night, touchdown run. It might be a home run hit, hell, there's another one. It might be the homecoming queen in the backseat of my truck. We're in the backwoods, on some back roads, getting lost, but we still know where we wanna go, and how to get there. Well, yeah, no, it ain't the beach, it's not a Mexico. It's me and some boys on these back roads, raising hell and taking our time. A Chevrolet vacation. A Chevrolet vacation.
All right, guys. So there was my interview with Aaron Carter, and I just spun one of his songs. So if you guys dig what you're hearing, go check out AaronCarterMusic.com. In the show description, I'm going to put his website, link to his website and social media. So go check it out and check out his live shows, man. If you guys are in the neighborhood and where he's playing live, go check it out. That's how musicians get out there, man. And that's how we support live music and artists out there. Just, you got to get out there and support, man. So if you like what you heard, check it out. If you're digging what you're hearing here on the Beard Speaks podcast, that's right. Go check us out at www.thebeardspeakspodcast.com and send us an email, guys, at thebeardspeakspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you want to hear somebody special. If you got someone you want us to interview, send us that information. But again, I appreciate everybody checking out the show. You guys are the best, man. So I love you guys. And until the next one, peace.